When her old college friend showed up unannounced in the rain, she thought it was just a temporary visit, until she discovered the calculated plan to steal her entire life, one pillow at a time. The rain was coming down hard that Thursday night, hitting the windows like tiny pebbles. Lisa had finally gotten home after one of those weeks that felt like it would never end. You know the type, back-to-back meetings, deadlines that seemed impossible, and a boss who thought sleep was optional. All she wanted was to curl up with her favorite book and a cup of hot tea. Her small apartment felt like a safe haven after the chaos of the office. She had spent months making it perfect, every piece of furniture in just the right spot, every pillow fluffed exactly how she liked it. The soft lighting from her table lamp cast a warm glow across her reading corner, and she had just settled into her comfortable chair when the doorbell rang. Lisa glanced at the clock on her phone. 9:47 p.m. Who visits someone at nearly 10 at night without calling first? She wasn't expecting anyone, and delivery guys usually called ahead. A little spark of worry shot through her as she walked to the front door. Through the small peephole, she could see someone standing in the hallway, but the lighting was dim. The person was soaked from head to toe, dark hair plastered against their head holding what looked like a gym bag. As her eyes adjusted, Lisa's heart jumped. It was Jessica, her old college roommate. But something was different. Very different. Jessica usually had this bright, bubbly energy about her, always smiling, always talking with her hands, always looking like she had just heard the best news ever. The person standing in the hallway looked nothing like that Jessica. This Jessica had her shoulders set in a way that reminded Lisa of a soldier preparing for battle. Her eyes had this intense look, like she had made up her mind about something important and nothing was going to change it. Lisa unlocked the door and pulled it open. "Jessica? What are you doing here? It's almost 10 at night." Jessica stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Water dripped from her jacket onto Lisa's clean floor, but Jessica didn't seem to notice or care. She set her bag down with a heavy thud and looked around the apartment like she was studying a map, taking note of every corner, every piece of furniture, every doorway. "I need to stay here," Jessica said. Her voice was flat, matter-of-fact, like she was reading from a grocery list. No hello, no how have you been, no explanation about why she was standing in Lisa's living room looking like she had been through a hurricane. Lisa blinked. "Stay here? Tonight?" "For a while," Jessica replied, still looking around the apartment. She walked over to the kitchen area and ran her finger along the counter like she was checking for dust. "Nice place. Much better than I expected." The comment hit Lisa the wrong way. Better than expected, what was that supposed to mean? And why was Jessica acting like she was inspecting a hotel room instead of visiting an old friend? "Jessica, what's going on? You drove all the way from the city without calling? In this weather? Are you okay?" Lisa tried to keep her voice calm, but confusion was creeping in fast. Jessica finally looked directly at her, and that's when Lisa saw it. The smile. But it wasn't Jessica's usual warm, friendly smile. This smile was sharp around the edges, like she knew something Lisa didn't. Like she had already won a game that Lisa didn't even know they were playing. "I'm fine," Jessica said, picking up her bag again. "Better than fine, actually. Where should I put this?" Lisa pointed toward the small guest closet near the bathroom, but Jessica was already walking toward the bedroom. "The closet's over there," Lisa called after her. "I'll need more space than that," Jessica replied from the bedroom. Lisa could hear her moving things around, and a strange feeling started growing in her stomach. It was the same feeling she got when she realized she had forgotten to lock her car, or when she saw a bill that was much higher than expected. When Jessica emerged from the bedroom a few minutes later, she had changed out of her wet clothes into dry pajamas. She looked completely at home, like she had been living there for months instead of minutes. "You don't mind if I make some tea, do you?" Jessica asked. But she was already opening Lisa's kitchen cabinets, looking for cups and tea bags. Lisa stood there watching her old friend move through her apartment like she owned it. This wasn't how visits usually went. When friends came to stay, there were conversations about timing, discussions about how long they'd be staying, grateful thank yous for the hospitality. There were explanations about why they needed help. Jessica wasn't offering any of those things. She found the tea, found the cups, and started heating water like this was her own kitchen. The whole time she had this calm, satisfied expression on her face, like everything was going exactly according to some plan she had made. "Jessica," Lisa tried again. "What happened? Did something go wrong at work? Problems with your apartment?" Jessica paused for just a moment, then continued preparing the tea. "Nothing went wrong," she said. "Everything is going right, actually. This is exactly where I need to be." That feeling in Lisa's stomach got stronger. There was something in the way Jessica said need to be that sounded less like a temporary favor and more like a permanent decision. And that smile, that strange, confident smile, never left her face. As Jessica handed her a cup of tea in her own kitchen, Lisa realized that her quiet evening had become something else entirely, something she hadn't signed up for and definitely hadn't seen coming. The rain continued hitting the windows, but now it sounded less like a gentle backdrop and more like a warning that the storm was just getting started. Lisa woke up the next morning feeling like something was off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what it was. The sunlight was streaming through her bedroom window just like always, and her alarm had gone off at the usual time. But there was something different in the air, a new smell like expensive perfume mixed with coffee that wasn't the brand she usually bought. She shuffled toward the bathroom, still half asleep, when she stopped dead in her tracks. The bathroom counter looked completely different. Where her simple soap dispenser and toothbrush holder used to sit alone, there was now a whole collection of fancy bottles and containers, expensive face creams, serum she couldn't even pronounce the names of, a professional-grade hair straightener, and makeup brushes that probably cost more than Lisa spent on groceries in a month. Her own toothbrush had been moved to the far corner of the counter, squeezed between the wall and what looked like a small pharmacy of skincare products. There was barely enough room for her to put her contact lens case down. Lisa shook her head, trying to wake up properly. Maybe Jessica had just needed to freshen up after her long drive in the rain. That was normal, right? Friends helping friends? She'd probably put everything away after she got settled. But when Lisa walked to her bedroom to grab some clothes for work, she got her second shock of the morning. Her closet door was open, and hanging right in the front were clothes that definitely didn't belong to her. An expensive-looking blazer in deep blue, several silk blouses, and a dress that still had the tags on it. Her own work clothes had been pushed to one side to make room. Lisa stood there staring at her closet, trying to process what she was seeing. Jessica had hung up her clothes like she planned to stay for a while. Not just a night or two, these were work clothes, weekend clothes, even formal dresses. This looked like someone who was moving in, not someone who was just visiting. She was about to call out for Jessica when she heard a voice coming from her own bedroom. A professional, confident voice that sounded nothing like the Jessica she remembered from college. "Yes, I understand your concerns about the timeline, but I can assure you that won't be an issue," the voice was saying. "I have a perfect setup now for handling multiple projects simultaneously." Lisa walked quietly toward her bedroom and peeked around the corner. What she saw made her jaw drop. Jessica was sitting in the middle of Lisa's bed, but she wasn't just sitting there casually. She had taken all of Lisa's decorative pillows, the ones Lisa had carefully arranged on her bed every morning for 2 years, and built them into what could only be described as a throne. The big square pillow was at the back. The round ones were stacked on either side like armrests, and the smaller rectangular ones were arranged as steps leading up to the main seat. And there sat Jessica, cross-legged like a queen holding court, with her laptop balanced on her knees and her phone pressed to her ear. She had changed into a crisp white button-down shirt and looked like she was conducting the most important business meeting of her life. From Lisa's own bed, using Lisa's pillows as furniture, Jessica looked up and saw Lisa standing in the doorway. Instead of looking embarrassed or apologetic, she smiled that same sharp smile from the night before. She held up one finger in a just-a-minute gesture and continued her phone conversation. "That's correct. I'll have the proposal to you by Friday. My new office setup is very conducive to productivity." She gestured around Lisa's bedroom like she was showing off a corner office in a fancy building. Lisa couldn't believe what she was hearing. New office setup? She wanted to interrupt, to ask what was going on, but Jessica was clearly in the middle of something important. So Lisa just stood there watching her old friend conduct business from a throne, made of throw pillows in what was supposed to be Lisa's private bedroom. After what felt like forever, Jessica ended the call and looked at Lisa with that satisfied smile. "Good morning," Jessica said cheerfully, stretching her arms above her head like she had just woken up in her own bed. "I hope you don't mind about this." She gestured to the elaborate pillow arrangement beneath her. "I work better with proper support for my back. Bad posture leads to poor decision-making, you know." Lisa opened and closed her mouth like a fish out of water. She minded. She minded a lot. Those pillows had been arranged perfectly on her bed every single day. She had spent time picking out the colors and patterns to match her comforter. They weren't office furniture. I was just... Lisa started, then stopped. What was she supposed to say? That she wanted her pillows back? That this was her bedroom? It felt ridiculous to have to explain these things to someone who should already know them. "You're probably getting ready for work," Jessica continued, completely ignoring Lisa's confused expression. "Don't let me stop you. I'll be working from here most of the day, so I'll keep an eye on things." Keep an eye on things? In Lisa's own apartment? Jessica had already turned her attention back to her laptop, typing away like she was in her own personal office. The morning sunlight hit her face in a way that made her look powerful and in control. She had transformed Lisa's cozy bedroom into some kind of command center, and she looked perfectly at home doing it. Lisa backed out of the room slowly, feeling like an intruder in her own space. As she got ready for work in a daze, she could hear Jessica making phone calls, her voice confident and businesslike. Every few minutes, she heard the sound of pillows being adjusted and rearranged. By the time Lisa left for work, she realized that Jessica hadn't just spent the night. She had moved in, and somehow she had managed to make Lisa feel like the guest in her own home. By the third day, Lisa felt like she was living in someone else's life. Every morning she woke up to the sound of Jessica conducting important-sounding phone calls from her pillow throne. Every evening, she came home to find new changes in her apartment, a different arrangement of furniture, Jessica's work papers spread across the dining table, the smell of expensive takeout that Jessica ordered but never offered to share. Lisa had tried dropping hints. She had mentioned how she liked her morning routine to be quiet. She had talked about how she valued her personal space. She had even joked about feeling like she was in a hotel instead of her own home. But Jessica seemed to miss every single hint, or maybe she was just choosing to ignore them. The pillow throne had become a permanent fixture. Jessica had even given it a name. She called it her success station. Every morning she would carefully rebuild it with Lisa's pillows, adjusting each one until it was exactly right. Then she would settle in for what she called her power sessions. Hours of phone calls, video meetings, and what looked like very intense email writing. Lisa had started sleeping poorly. It felt strange knowing that someone was in her bedroom, using her space like it was their office. She could hear Jessica working late into the night, the soft glow of the laptop screen visible under the bedroom door. Sometimes Lisa would hear her laughing at something on a video call, or speaking in that confident business-like voice about projects and deadlines and clients. It was during one of these late-night work sessions that Lisa finally learned the truth. She had gotten up to get a glass of water and could hear Jessica talking to someone on the phone. The bedroom door was slightly open, and Jessica's voice was carrying into the hallway. Lisa didn't mean to eavesdrop, but something in Jessica's tone made her pause. "No, it's perfect," Jessica was saying. "I told you this would work out exactly, like I planned." She's so predictable. I knew she wouldn't ask too many questions. Lisa felt her stomach drop. She pressed herself against the hallway wall, hoping Jessica wouldn't notice her shadow. "Right. Exactly," Jessica continued. "I needed someone with a stable living situation, someone who wouldn't kick up a fuss about me staying here while I get the business off the ground. Lisa has always been the responsible type, you know? She pays her bills on time, keeps her place clean, never causes any drama. Perfect for what I need." The words hit Lisa like a punch to the chest. Jessica wasn't here because she needed help. She wasn't here because of some emergency or crisis. She was here because she had calculated that Lisa would be easy to take advantage. The best part, Jessica went on, and Lisa could hear the smile in her voice, is that she's too polite to say anything. She just stands there looking confused while I do whatever I need to do. It's actually kind of funny. Lisa covered her mouth with her hand, afraid she might make a sound. Funny? Jessica thought it was funny? Oh, the consulting business is going great, Jessica continued. I quit my corporate job 3 weeks ago. Just walked out one day, didn't even give notice. I was so tired of having a boss tell me what to do, and the downtown apartment was costing me a fortune. This is so much better. Free rent, quiet neighborhood, and a built-in support system that doesn't even know she's supporting me. Lisa felt like the floor was spinning under her feet. Jessica had quit her job. She had given up her apartment. This wasn't a temporary visit. This was Jessica's new life plan. And Lisa was apparently the foundation for the whole thing. You should see the setup I have in her bedroom, Jessica laughed. I turned her decorative pillows into this amazing workstation. It's actually more comfortable than the desk I had at my old job. And the best part is, she bought all these pillows to make her bedroom look nice, and now I get to use them to build my empire. Lisa closed her eyes, trying to process what she was hearing. Jessica had been planning this. She had looked at their friendship and seen an opportunity. She had driven through the rain that night not because she needed help, but because she had decided that Lisa's life was the perfect launching pad for her new business. Trust me, Jessica continued. I know exactly what I'm doing. Lisa has always been the type to put other people first. Back in college, she was the one who always shared her notes, always helped with projects, always made sure everyone else was okay before she worried about herself. Some people never change. The worst part was that Jessica was right. Lisa had always been that person. She was the friend who offered help before being asked, the roommate who cleaned up after everyone else, the person who said, "Don't worry about it," even when she was worried about it herself. I give it another few weeks before she works up the courage to say anything, Jessica said with another laugh. And by then I'll be so established here that it'll be easier for her to just accept the situation. She's invested in being the good friend who helps people out. She won't want to be the mean person who kicks someone out. Lisa felt tears starting to form in her eyes. Not because she was sad, but because she was angry. Angrier than she had been in a very long time. Jessica hadn't just taken over her apartment. She had taken advantage of Lisa's kindness and was now laughing about it with someone else. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on how it goes, Jessica was saying. This is definitely the smartest move I've ever made. Free housing, someone to cover utilities, and all the space I need to focus on building my client base. It's like having a business partner who doesn't even know they're a business partner. Lisa backed away from the door slowly, her heart pounding. She made her way back to the couch where she had been sleeping and pulled the blanket over her head. But she couldn't sleep. Her mind was racing with everything she had just heard. Jessica had played her perfectly. She had shown up looking desperate and vulnerable, knowing that Lisa would feel obligated to help. She had taken over the apartment piece by piece, knowing that Lisa would be too polite to stop her. She had built her ridiculous pillow throne, knowing that Lisa would be too uncomfortable with confrontation to take her pillows back. And the worst part was that Jessica was probably right about Lisa not having the courage to say anything. Lisa had spent the last 3 days feeling uncomfortable in her own home, but she hadn't done anything about it. She had hoped Jessica would figure it out on her own, that she would recognize she was overstaying her welcome and leave naturally. But Jessica wasn't going to leave naturally. She was here on purpose with a plan, and she had no intention of going anywhere. As Lisa lay there on her own couch in her own living room, listening to Jessica continue her phone call about how perfectly everything was working out, she realized something important. She had 2 choices. She could keep being the predictable, accommodating person that Jessica was counting on, or she could become someone else entirely. Someone who fought back. 2 weeks had passed since that night when Lisa overheard Jessica's phone conversation, and things had gotten so much worse. The pillow throne wasn't just in the bedroom anymore. It had somehow grown into an entire command center that took over half the apartment. Jessica had started moving furniture around to create what she called her workflow optimization space. Lisa's coffee table had been pushed against the wall to make room for a makeshift desk made from cardboard boxes. Her comfortable reading chair had been repositioned to face away from the window because Jessica said the natural light was too distracting during client calls. The pillow throne itself had evolved too. Jessica had somehow acquired more pillows. Lisa had no idea where they came from, and she was afraid to ask. The original arrangement of Lisa's throw pillows was now surrounded by additional cushions, creating what looked like a small fortress in the middle of the living room. Jessica would sit there for hours, laptop balanced on her knees, surrounded by notebooks, coffee cups, and her phone constantly buzzing with notifications. Lisa had been sleeping on the couch for so long that her back was starting to hurt constantly. Every morning, she would wake up with a crick in her neck and the sound of Jessica already conducting her first power session of the day. Every evening, she would come home to find Jessica settled into her pillow fortress, usually on an important video call that required absolute silence. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening when Lisa walked through her front door after an especially difficult day at work. Her boss had criticized a project she had worked on for weeks, her computer had crashed and she lost an hour of work, and she had spilled coffee on her favorite shirt during lunch. All she wanted was to come home to her own space and decompress. But when she opened the door, she stopped dead in her tracks. Jessica had completely rearranged the entire living room. Again, the couch where Lisa had been sleeping was now pushed into the corner, making it impossible to actually lie down on it comfortably. The TV had been turned to face Jessica's pillow throne instead of the seating area. Lisa's bookshelf had been moved to create a privacy barrier around Jessica's workspace, and all of Lisa's books were stacked in messy piles on the floor. But the worst part was the pillow throne itself. It had grown into something that belonged in a palace, not a small apartment. Jessica had arranged pillows into multiple levels, creating what looked like stadium seating with herself at the center. She had even added Lisa's good pillows, the expensive ones that Lisa only used for special occasions, to the bottom tier of her construction. Jessica was sitting in the middle of this elaborate setup, wearing Lisa's favorite sweater, eating what smelled like expensive Thai food from containers that were scattered around the pillows. She looked up when Lisa walked in and gave her that same sharp smile, but this time there was something almost triumphant about it. "Perfect timing," Jessica said, not bothering to pause the video call she was clearly in the middle of. "I was just telling my client about how important it is to create a space that truly supports your success. Environment is everything, you know?" Lisa stood there looking at her transformed living room, feeling something hot and angry building up in her chest. This wasn't just borrowing space anymore. This wasn't even taking over space. This was erasing Lisa's entire life and replacing it with Jessica's vision of what the apartment should be. "Jessica," Lisa said quietly, trying to keep her voice calm, "can I talk to you for a minute?" Jessica held up one finger without looking at her. "Just finishing up this call. Give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into 30 minutes, then an hour. Lisa sat uncomfortably on the corner of her own couch, listening to Jessica discuss business strategies and marketing plans with someone who apparently thought Jessica was some kind of genius entrepreneur. The whole time, Jessica gestured around the apartment like she was giving a tour of her personal success story. When the call finally ended, Jessica stretched like a cat and smiled at Lisa with satisfaction. "This space has such good energy now," she said. "I can feel the productivity flowing through it. You should thank me. I've completely transformed the vibes in here." That was it. Something inside Lisa snapped. "No," Lisa said, standing up from the couch. The word came out louder than she intended, and Jessica looked genuinely surprised. "No?" Jessica repeated, tilting her head like she hadn't heard correctly. "No, I shouldn't thank you," Lisa said, and her voice was getting stronger with each word. "You've taken over my entire apartment. You've moved all my furniture without asking. You're sleeping in my bed while I sleep on the couch. You're using my pillows to build some kind of fortress in my living room. And you're wearing my sweater." Jessica looked down at the sweater like she had forgotten she was wearing it. "Oh, this? I didn't think you'd mind. It was just hanging in the closet." "The closet in my bedroom," Lisa said, "where you've been living for 2 weeks without paying rent, without asking permission, and apparently without any plans to leave." For the first time since she had arrived, Jessica's confident, Smile faltered a little. I thought we were friends, she said. Friends help each other out. Friends ask before they help themselves to everything you own, Lisa replied. Friends don't take over someone's entire life and then act like they're doing them a favor. Jessica stood up from her pillow throne, and suddenly the elaborate arrangement looked ridiculous instead of impressive. She was a grown woman sitting on a pile of throw pillows, acting like she was running a Fortune 500 company from someone else's living room. You're being dramatic, Jessica said, but there was something uncertain in her voice now. It's just temporary until I get established. How temporary? Lisa asked. Because it's been 2 weeks and you've moved more stuff in, not less. You've taken over more space, not less. You're acting more like you own this place, not less. Jessica opened her mouth to respond, but Lisa wasn't finished. I heard your phone call, Lisa said. 3 nights ago, the one where you talked about how predictable I am, how easy it was to take advantage of me, how funny you think it is that I'm too polite to say anything. Jessica's face went pale. Lisa, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, Lisa interrupted. You planned this whole thing. You quit your job, gave up your apartment, and decided that I would be your free housing and support system. You think I'm too nice to kick you out. Jessica stood there in silence for a moment, surrounded by the pillow fortress she had built from Lisa's belongings, wearing Lisa's sweater in Lisa's living room that she had completely rearranged to suit her needs. Well, Jessica said finally, and that sharp smile was back. Are you going to kick me out? Lisa looked at her old friend, at the elaborate throne made from her own pillows, at her transformed living room, at her favorite sweater being worn by someone who thought her kindness was a weakness to be exploited. Yes, Lisa said. Yes, I am. This ends tomorrow or you leave. Jessica laughed, but it sounded forced now. You can't be serious. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, Lisa said. But I know where you're not supposed to be. Here. The smile disappeared completely from Jessica's face, and for a moment, she looked like the person Lisa remembered from college. Uncertain, a little scared, definitely not in control. Lisa, Jessica started, but Lisa was already walking toward her bedroom. Tomorrow, Jessica, figure it out. Jessica didn't leave the next day. Instead, she did something that Lisa hadn't expected. She doubled down completely. When Lisa woke up on Wednesday morning, she found that Jessica had expanded her pillow throne even further overnight. She had somehow found more cushions and pillows, creating what could only be described as a pillow palace that now took up most of the living room. Jessica was sitting in the center of it all, looking like a queen holding court, with multiple phones, charging around her and her laptop, displaying what looked like a very professional business presentation. Good morning, Jessica said cheerfully when she saw Lisa emerge from the bathroom. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, and you're absolutely right. Lisa felt a moment of relief. Maybe Jessica had finally understood. I have been too casual about this arrangement, Jessica continued, so I've decided to make it official. I'm prepared to pay you rent. Lisa blinked. Rent? $300 a month, Jessica said, like she was making a generous offer. That's way below market rate, but since we're friends, I'm willing to give you a deal. Plus, I'll handle all the utilities and groceries. Think of it as having a roommate who actually contributes. Lisa stared at her. Jessica was sitting on a throne made of Lisa's own belongings, in Lisa's living room that she had completely taken over, wearing Lisa's clothes, and acting like she was doing Lisa a favor by offering to pay rent for the privilege of continuing to take over her life. I don't want a roommate, Lisa said slowly. I want my apartment back. Jessica waved her hand dismissively. Don't be silly. This arrangement is perfect for both of us. I get a great workspace and you get help with expenses. It's a win-win situation. It's not a win for me, Lisa said. I've been sleeping on my own couch for 2 weeks. I can't use my own living room. You've moved all my furniture without asking. You're wearing my clothes and eating my food. Our living room, Jessica corrected, and technically it's my food now. I did the grocery shopping yesterday. She gestured toward the kitchen, and Lisa could see that Jessica had indeed filled the refrigerator, with expensive organic items that Lisa would never have bought for herself. Lisa felt that familiar hot anger building up in her chest again, but this time it was mixed with something else: disbelief. Jessica wasn't just refusing to leave. She was acting like she was the reasonable one in this situation. "Jessica," Lisa said, trying one more time to stay calm, "I don't want you as a roommate. I want you to leave today." Jessica's cheerful expression finally cracked a little. "You can't just kick me out," she said. "I've established residency here. I get mail delivered here now. I've changed my address with my bank. Legally, you'd have to give me 30 days' notice." Lisa felt her mouth fall open. "You changed your address? To my apartment?" "It's called being practical," Jessica replied. "I needed a permanent address for my business registration, don't worry. Most of my mail is electronic anyway." That was when Lisa realized that Jessica had never planned to leave. Not after a few days, not after a few weeks, maybe not ever. She had moved in completely, legally established herself as a resident, and was now acting like Lisa was the one being unreasonable for wanting her own space back. "Besides," Jessica continued, settling back into her pillow throne, "you can't tell me this hasn't been good for you too. Look how much more organized everything is now. Look how efficiently I've used the space. Your apartment has never been this productive." Lisa looked around at her transformed living room, her furniture pushed into corners, her belongings scattered and rearranged, her personal space completely erased and replaced with Jessica's vision of productivity. It looked like an office supply store had exploded in a pillow factory. "I don't want my apartment to be productive," Lisa said. "I want it to be home." "This is so much better than just home," Jessica replied. "This is a launching pad for success. You should be grateful that I chose to build my empire here." That was the moment when Lisa realized that talking wasn't going to work. Jessica had made up her mind, and she was prepared to argue and manipulate and justify her way into staying permanently. She had turned Lisa's kindness into a trap, and now she was acting like Lisa should be thanking her for it. So Lisa stopped talking. She waited until Thursday evening when Jessica went out to meet with a potential client, a meeting she had scheduled at a coffee shop because she wanted to show off her professional network, which apparently meant leaving her pillow palace temporarily unguarded. The moment Jessica was gone, Lisa sprang into action. She had spent the day planning this out carefully. She had researched tenant rights and discovered that Jessica was wrong about the 30-day notice. Since Jessica had never been officially added to the lease and had never paid any rent, she was technically just an overstaying guest. She had called a locksmith and arranged for him to come by that evening, and she had mentally prepared herself for what she needed to do. Lisa started with the pillows. She carefully dismantled Jessica's elaborate throne, returning each pillow to its original place. Her decorative throw pillows went back on the bed, arranged exactly how she liked them. The couch cushions went back where they belonged. The extra pillows that Jessica had somehow acquired went into garbage bags. Lisa had no idea where they came from, and she didn't care where they went. Then she moved her furniture back. The coffee table returned to its proper spot in front of the couch. Her reading chair went back to its place by the window. Her bookshelf was moved back to the wall, and she carefully returned all her books to their proper places. While she worked, she packed Jessica's belongings into neat boxes and suitcases. Every silk blouse, every expensive skincare product, every piece of technology and paperwork and business paraphernalia got carefully folded and organized and placed by the front door. The locksmith arrived just as Lisa was finishing. He was a nice older man who didn't ask any questions about why she needed her locks changed immediately. He just did his job efficiently and handed her 2 shiny new keys. By the time Jessica returned from her client meeting, the transformation was complete. Lisa had reclaimed her apartment entirely. Her furniture was back in its proper places, her belongings were arranged how she liked them, and Jessica's things were waiting in neat piles by the door. Lisa heard Jessica's key in the lock, heard her trying it several times with increasing frustration, and finally heard her knocking on the door. "Lisa? What's wrong with my key? Lisa, open the door." Lisa sat in her restored reading chair, in her properly arranged living room, holding one of her favorite books, She could hear Jessica's voice getting higher and more frantic as she realized what had happened. "Lisa, you can't do this. My stuff is in there. My business is in there. Lisa, open this door right now." But Lisa didn't respond. She had said everything she needed to say. She had given Jessica chances to leave voluntarily, chances to respect boundaries, chances to remember that they were supposed to be friends, not business partners in a scheme Lisa had never agreed to. The knocking continued for almost an hour, with Jessica's voice cycling through anger, bargaining, and something that sounded almost like begging. But Lisa just sat in her chair, reading, her book in her own living room, surrounded by her own belongings, arranged exactly how she wanted them. Finally, the hallway went quiet. Through the peephole, Lisa could see that Jessica had taken all the boxes and bags. She was gone. 6 months later, Lisa got a postcard in the mail. It was from Jessica, postmarked from a city 3 states away. The picture on the front showed a sleek downtown apartment building. The message was short. "You were right, I needed to build my own throne, not borrow yours. Thanks for the lesson in boundaries. The business is doing great, by the way." Lisa smiled as she read it, sitting in her favorite chair with her pillows arranged exactly how she liked them. She was glad Jessica was doing well. She was even gladder that Jessica was doing well somewhere else in her own space with her own pillows. That evening, Lisa made herself a cup of tea and settled into her reading corner. For the first time in months, her apartment felt like home again. Quiet, peaceful, and completely her own. She had learned something important about the difference between being kind and being taken advantage of, between helping a friend and enabling someone to walk all over you. Sometimes the most important territory to reclaim isn't physical space. It's the right to say no, the right to have boundaries, and the right to feel at home in your own life.